The rent was dirt cheap. The neighbors were silent. The halls were always cold. And every night someone whispered my name from the vents. When I first saw the ad for the apartment, I thought it was a scam. $400 a month. All utilities included. Furnished. Immediate move-in available. In a city where even moldy studio closets rent for $1,000, it stood out like a neon sign. I clicked it out of curiosity, half expecting to be redirected to a phishing site. Instead, I found a single-page listing. No flashy graphics, no photos, just an address and a phone number. Even that was strange. No name, no background checks. Just a cold offer. Move in today. I didn't hesitate. I didn't have the luxury. I had been crashing on my cousin's couch for 2 weeks, and he'd started leaving job ads and eviction hints on the kitchen table. I called the number. A man answered on the first ring, his voice smooth and measured, like someone who'd practiced the same line 1,000 times. Yes, it's still available. Bring exact cash and ID. Ask for Mr. Dalton. Click. No pleasantries. No questions. It was nearly dusk when I arrived at Park Ridge Apartments. The building stood hunched behind an overgrown hedge, partially hidden like it was ashamed to be seen. A 3-story structure with rows of rectangular windows, many dark and lifeless. Some were completely blacked out from the inside. The address matched, but there was no sign out front. No leasing office, no manager's desk, just a faded keypad beside a rusted steel door. Before I could knock or ring anything, the door buzzed. I stepped inside. The air hit me like a wall, cold, heavy, and sterile. It didn't smell like a normal apartment building. No food, no smoke. No human scent, just an artificial cleanness like chlorine and steel wool. I was halfway up the first set of stairs when I saw him, Mr. Dalton. He was already waiting at the top of the landing, hands behind his back, wearing a slim gray suit. That looked perfectly pressed, not a single wrinkle. His skin was pale as wax and almost reflective under the flickering hallway light. When I reached the top, he nodded. "Mr. Lane, apartment 6B is ready." "You knew I'd show up?" He smiled faintly. "People always do." I followed him down the hallway. The walls were a pale yellow, and everything smelled like a dentist's office. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. It felt like I was walking through a dream. At the end of the hall, he stopped at the door with the brass number 6B nailed into it. The only door without a welcome mat or doorbell. Dalton pulled a ring of keys from his jacket, selected one, and handed it to me. "This is your unit key. Keep it with you at all times." He slid a plain white envelope from inside his jacket and offered it with his other hand. "And these are the rules." I took the envelope, unsure if I should laugh. "Rules?" He didn't smile this time. "Read them before midnight. Commit them to memory. If you break any of them, I won't be able to help you." He turned and began to walk away, his shoes silent on the thin carpet. "Wait," I said. "What happens if I—" He didn't stop. I stood in front of my new apartment, the envelope heavy in my hand, and felt a strange chill run up my back. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The place was nice, old, sure, but clean. The walls were off-white, the carpet a dull beige, the furniture was basic. A 2-seater couch, a round dining table, a small bed in a corner nook. But everything looked recently scrubbed. The lights worked. The fridge was empty, but humming. It was sterile in a way that was unnerving, like a model apartment that had never been lived in. I tossed my bag on the bed and sat down with the envelope. The rules were typed in large font on a single sheet of paper. "Rules for tenants of Park Ridge Apartments. Do not leave your unit between 3:03 a.m. and 3:33 a.m., no matter what you hear, no matter who knocks. Do not open your door for anyone after midnight, unless they knock 3 times, then pause, then knock twice more. Any other pattern is to be ignored. Keep all mirrors covered between the hours of 2 a.m. and sunrise. Tin foil or black sheets are recommended. If you see your reflection moving when you are still, turn off all lights and close your eyes. Do not open them until sunrise. Every Friday, place a small bowl of salt water outside your door before 11 p.m. Do not touch the bowl until morning. If you hear someone calling your name from the vents, do not respond. Do not approach the vent. Never go to the basement. If you are forced to, knock before entering. If someone knocks back, leave immediately. Visitors are allowed only before 9 p.m. Anyone who stays past this time is no longer considered a visitor. Do not speak to the man in the red hallway. If you see him, walk away. If he speaks to you, cover your ears and do not respond. If you ever wake up in a different apartment than your own, do not panic. Leave immediately and do not look at the windows. That was it. 10 rules. No explanations. I read them again and again. Was this some elaborate prank? Some twisted initiation for new tenants? I set the page down and went to the bathroom. My reflection looked normal, but I couldn't shake the feeling it was watching me just a little too closely. That night, I tried to sleep. I couldn't. I kept checking the clock. Tatlem on am 2:13 I remembered the mirror rule and got up to throw a towel over the one in the bathroom. Then I sat on the couch in the dark, heart pounding. At 3:03 a.m., the first knock came. It was faint, polite, just a single knock. Then silence. A moment later, another knock, firmer, then a third, louder. I froze, no pattern, not the 3 then 2 the rules mentioned. Then the knocking stopped. Something slid under the door. I waited until dawn before I approached. It was a single piece of paper. You forgot the salt water. One warning. No second chances. There was no signature. The days that followed were uneventful. Strangely so, I saw almost no one in the hallways. The elevator never seemed to work. The mailbox was empty every morning, even though I knew I'd changed my address. I worked from home doing freelance editing, so I didn't leave much. But the nights were different. Whispers from the vents. Soft laughter in the hallway. Once I woke up to find the bathroom door open, the mirror uncovered. My reflection didn't move when I tilted my head. It only started copying me after a few seconds. That night, I slept in the hallway. On the 5th night, I saw the red hallway. It wasn't there before. It appeared at the end of the corridor, where there had only been a blank wall the day prior. The lights above it were dim and pulsing, and the entire hall was painted crimson. Not red wallpaper, painted. Thick, brush-stroked, textured paint. And at the end of it stood a man. Not moving, not blinking, just staring. He was wearing a black suit. His face was blurry, like I couldn't focus on it no matter how hard I tried. Remembered Rule 9 and turned away. I didn't sleep that night either. On the 7th night, I broke a rule. It was stupid. I was exhausted, half asleep, and forgot to cover the mirror. I was brushing my teeth when I noticed it. My reflection was smiling. I wasn't. I backed away, slow and steady, and turned off the light. But the smile didn't fade. I shut the door. Then, I heard it laugh. Not from inside the bathroom, from behind me. I ran. Out the front door. Down the hallway. I didn't stop until I was outside, breathing hard in the night air. The building was silent behind me. A single window on the 3rd floor was glowing red. I knew it was mine. I didn't go back inside until morning. I called Mr. Dalton the next day. His voice was calm, as always. You broke a rule. I was tired. You're alive. That's fortunate. I'm thinking of moving out. A long pause. You signed a lease. I didn't. You entered. That's enough. That night, the knocks came again. 3. Pause. 2. I didn't. Move! I waited, heart racing. Then I heard her voice. Soft, sweet. Danny, it's me. Let me in. My chest went cold. It was my sister's voice. But she died last year. Cancer, quiet and fast. Danny, I miss you. Please, let me in. I'm cold. Tears filled my eyes. I bit my knuckles to stop myself from speaking. The doorknob twisted once, twice, then silence. The paper was there again the next morning. You passed. Some don't. It's been 3 weeks now. I follow the rules. I don't ask questions. But I've started to notice something. My reflection. It's getting faster. Sometimes it moves a second before I do. And the man in the red hallway? He's getting closer. He's only 10 feet away now. He never blinks. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up drenched in sweat. The mirror across the room was still covered. Good. That meant I hadn't forgotten again. The towel was hanging loose at one corner, though, like something had tried to peek beneath it during the night. I got up slowly and tightened it back over the glass, double-tucking the edge. That's how I started most mornings now, paranoid, trembling, and unsure what was real. Life inside Park Ridge Apartments had become a waking nightmare, and yet I stayed. Maybe it was the lease. Maybe it was fear. But a bigger part of me, if I'm honest, didn't want to find out what would happen if I tried to leave. I had tried once, packed a bag, got in my car, drove 4 blocks. But my GPS kept looping the same directions, and when I looked up again, I was parked in front of the building. The red bricks looked darker that day, like they'd been soaked in something. It had only been 3 weeks since I moved in, but time didn't feel right anymore. The days slipped past in a haze of silence, and the nights were hungry. And the man in the red hallway? He was closer now. 2 steps from my door. He never blinked. He never moved. But every morning when I opened my door, he was standing a little, closer to the edge of the red corridor, like a loading bar creeping toward completion. That morning, I found another note slipped under my door. You've seen him. That's not good. Prepare for testing. What the hell did that mean? Testing. I turned the paper over. Nothing. I thought of calling Dalton again, but my phone had stopped making outbound calls. It could receive them, static-filled and garbled. But any number I dialed redirected to a busy signal or a long, echoing beep. Even 911, I was cut off. Still, I tried walking to the front office, just to check if maybe Dalton was inside. But when I reached the ground floor, the lobby was gone, literally. Where the front glass doors should have been was now a brick wall, fresh mortar still wet. It was like someone had sealed us all inside overnight. I stumbled back, heart pounding. Someone brushed past me. A woman, mid-30s, pale skin, jet black hair in a bun, holding a laundry basket. Her eyes were wide and sunken, like she hadn't slept in weeks. "You're the new one," she said flatly. Yeah. Apartment 6B. She didn't smile. "Cover your eyes tonight. They're testing the building again." Testing for what? She didn't answer. Her shoes squeaked on the tile as she disappeared into the stairwell. That night, I did as she said. I covered the mirrors, every last reflective surface, even the toaster. I sat on my couch in the dark and waited. Am came. This time. The air felt different, thicker, heavier. The ceiling creaked and the sound of humming filled the apartment. Not music, electrical humming like wires heating up. Then I heard footsteps in the hallway. Soft, slow, dozens of them. I stood up and pressed my ear to the door. Breathing, so much breathing. Shuffling feet, groans. Then something scraped across. My door. I backed away. My phone vibrated once, a text from a blocked number. "Do not open your eyes." I looked down. Wait. My eyes were already open. The lights were off, but I could still see. The room was glowing with a strange bluish haze, like moonlight, but artificial. The air shimmered. I looked toward the covered bathroom mirror. Something inside was moving. The towel bulged outward, gently, like something on the other side was pressing against it. Then it whispered, "Let us out." The phone buzzed again. "You're failing." My hand shook. I turned off the phone and closed my eyes. Darkness. Pure, suffocating darkness, and the whispering grew louder. You've seen us before, Daniel. You knew us. Before the walls. The walls? Something cold touched my wrist. I screamed and flailed blindly, hitting nothing. Just air. The air itself felt dense now, charged with static. Then, just as suddenly, it all stopped. No sound, no hum. Silence. When I opened my eyes again, it was daylight, and I was in a different apartment. It wasn't mine. The layout was similar, but not exact. The furniture was wrong. No TV. Just a dusty old armchair in the corner and a rotary phone on a wooden stand. I stood slowly, my body aching like I'd been drugged. The walls here were gray, peeling. The window blinds were nailed shut. Something scuttled across the ceiling tiles. I backed toward the door and opened it. The hallway outside wasn't the same one from 6B. It was darker, longer. The lights flickered red, and at the far end, I saw him again, the man from the red hallway. Except now he wasn't standing. He was walking. Slow, deliberate steps toward me. I shut the door and twisted the deadbolt. Then I noticed the new paper taped to the inside of this apartment's wall. This is Phase 2. Observe, endure, do not trust the clocks. My watch read 6:19 a.m. The clock on the wall read 3:03. The microwave said 12 days. None of them matched. I stumbled into the kitchen. Everything was covered in plastic, like the place had been abandoned mid-renovation. Dust clung to the counters like frost. The bathroom mirror was broken, shards scattered across the floor. In one of the shards, I saw something moving behind me. I turned. Nothing. But the reflection still showed it. A woman in the hallway, head tilted, long, wet hair obscuring her face. She was weeping and bleeding from her palms. I blinked, and the shard went dark. I didn't stay to find out more. I opened the door again. Hallway be damned. The red light was gone. In its place was a heavy fog. Walked. I passed door after door, none of them numbered. The sounds came next. Breathing, whispers, something wet slapping against tile. I moved faster. At the end of the hallway was a single elevator with the doors wide open. Inside, the floor was carpeted in black, and the buttons had no labels, just symbols. I pressed the only one glowing. The doors closed. The elevator began moving, sideways. I grabbed the rail and held my breath. 30 seconds. Maybe a minute. Then, ding. The doors opened. I was back, 6B, same couch, same towel on the mirror. But the rules sheet had changed. New ink had been scrawled at the bottom in red marker. You've begun transitioning. Do not resist. Do not try to leave again. And underneath that, testing successful. You are now observed. It's been 2 days since the test. I don't sleep anymore. The man in the red hallway, he's gone now. But sometimes, at night, I hear footsteps in my kitchen, and once I saw a camera in my ceiling vent. Someone's watching. I'm being studied, like a lab rat. And worst of all, I think I'm starting to see things outside the apartment now, in the streets, in reflections, in people's faces. The infection is spreading. Park Ridge isn't just a building, it's a gate. And someone opened it. I used to think sleep was a safe place, a break from everything. But now, sleep feels like the most dangerous part of my day, because in dreams, they talk. And last night they said my name. It started with the knocking, soft, rhythmic, 3 taps, then silence, then 4 more. Always the same sequence. At first I thought it was the neighbor again, maybe someone still trying to connect through the madness. But when I checked the peephole, the hallway was empty. No shadows, no footsteps, no one. I went back to the couch, watching the static buzz on my TV. I didn't remember turning it on. It was just on white noise. Hiss. Then another knock. Closer. Louder. I grabbed my phone. Still no signal. Still no time updates. Just a cracked home screen stuck on 3:03 a.m. Always 3:03. I stood at the door and listened again. This time, I heard a voice. "We want to come inside now." The worst part? It was my voice, perfect imitation, same tone, same breath pattern, like an echo that learned to lie. I stepped back, heart hammering in my throat. And then, bang! The door shook. I ran to the bathroom and locked myself inside. My reflection was gone. Not distorted, not cracked, just gone. The mirror reflected the room, but I wasn't in it. I held my breath. From the hallway came another voice, Dalton's voice. "I'm here to help. Let me in." But Dalton was missing. I hadn't seen him since the mirror incident. I knew better than to open the door. "Still," I whispered, "how do I know it's really you?" The voice answered without missing a beat. "You don't." And then it laughed, long and low, not Dalton. The next morning, I found another note on my kitchen table. Not under the door this time, on the inside. "The rules are changing. Be ready for new ones." There was no signature, no handwriting I recognized. Just letters typed in courier font on a yellowed page, like it came from an old typewriter. Below the message, a list. New rules. Temporary cycle initiated. Do not open your door, no matter who knocks, even if it's you. Do not speak to reflections. If the hallway smells like oranges, do not breathe. If the elevator arrives without being called, do not enter. Apartment 4C is no longer vacant. Do not acknowledge it. If you hear someone crying in the vents, cover your ears. At 3:03 a.m., do not blink. They move when you blink. Do not attempt to leave. The building is aware. The last rule will be revealed when you need it most. I spent the entire day trying to ignore the sounds above me, scratching, weeping, dragging furniture that shouldn't exist. That evening I taped the rules to my wall and sat cross-legged beneath them, flashlight in hand. I heard someone pacing above my unit, a new sound, drip, 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 from the ceiling. I moved my couch and looked up. A small circular stain was growing in the drywall, seeping red around the edges. Blood. No one lived above me. That apartment had been condemned, sealed off. But now, someone was moving up there. And then, a loud thud, followed by footsteps. Down the hall. I ran to the door, pressed my eye to the peephole. This time, I saw her. A woman, mid-30s. The same black-haired woman from the stairwell. She was standing outside my door, barefoot, her eyes wide. She looked directly into the peephole, straight at me, and mouthed, "Rule 9. Then she banged her head on the door, once, twice, 3 times. Her skin split open on the third hit, revealing something white and smooth underneath, like ceramic. Porcelain? I staggered back. My phone buzzed in my pocket. New message. When she knocks, hide in the fridge. What? Before I could even process it, the knocking started again. This time faster, angrier, inhuman. Without thinking, I ran to the kitchen, yanked open the refrigerator door, and forced myself inside. It was cold. Too cold. But somehow, deeper than it looked. I slid backward. My legs disappeared into the dark. Then, silence. Pitch black silence. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't in my kitchen anymore. I was in a tunnel. Metal walls. Flickering lights. Cold, wet air. Voices chattered behind me. Familiar voices. I turned around and saw them. Copies of me. 6 of them. All dressed in variations of what I was wearing. Some bloodied, some burned. One missing half its jaw. They stood, still, watching. Then one stepped forward. "You're the next," it said. "Next for what?" It smiled. "Next to leave the apartment. But the rules don't apply here," it whispered, and then everything collapsed. I woke up on my bathroom floor, shivering. The fridge door was open, my food was spoiled, the lights were off, and the woman was gone. A new note was taped to the mirror. "Good. You're adapting." Underneath it, one word: mimics. That night, I went exploring. I had to. I couldn't stay locked inside forever, waiting to go mad. I brought a flashlight, a pocket knife, and a crucifix I found in a drawer that hadn't been there the day before. The hallway was quiet. I passed 4C. The door was open, and inside, it looked exactly like my apartment. Same furniture, same couch, same mirror, and on the couch sat me. I turned to run, but the copy stood and smiled. "Too slow," it said. Door slammed shut behind me. I never thought I would miss my old life. The noise of the city, the rent notices, the leaky faucet in my crappy old studio. But now I'd give anything to go back to those simpler nightmares. Park Ridge Apartments wasn't a building. It was a cage. And now I know what for. The moment the door slammed shut behind me in 4C, I knew I'd stepped over a line. It was more than just a mirror image apartment. It was alive. The air shimmered like heat waves. The walls pulsed slightly, like a lung breathing just beneath the wallpaper. I backed up into the door, twisted the knob. Locked, of course. I turned around and stared at the thing that looked like me. It tilted its head in a jerky, marionette-like fashion. Same face, same clothes, but the smile was off. Too wide, too knowing. Like it was wearing my skin without understanding how human emotions actually worked. "What are you?" I asked. It didn't answer. Instead, it stepped closer and whispered, "Your lease is almost up." My breath caught. "Lease? You never read the fine print, did you?" It asked with a grin. "Nobody does." It pointed toward the ceiling. And that's when I noticed it. Hundreds of cracks spiderwebbing across the plaster above, glowing faintly red. The entire ceiling was covered in eyes, literal eyes. Human, blinking, watching. The mimic stepped forward. Again, and I reached for the knife in my pocket, but it was gone. Replaced with a slip of paper, I unfolded it. One word, handwritten: "Run." I didn't hesitate. I turned, sprinted toward the balcony door, and slammed my shoulder into it. It burst open, and instead of a view of the city, I found endless rows of balconies in a black, dimensionless void. Each balcony held someone, not tenants, versions of me, sleeping, crying, screaming silently. One was frozen mid-jump, caught in a stasis-like bubble as if time had stopped just before impact. I backed up, dizzy. The mimic was gone. The apartment was empty again. But the door was open now. I took the chance and bolted. The hallway wasn't the same. Gone were the peeling wallpaper and buzzing lights. Now it was sterile, white, surgical, like a hospital had been built inside the bones of the building. And down the corridor stood a glass observation booth. Inside were people. Real people. Scientists in lab coats watching me through thick panes, scribbling notes. One of them spoke into a headset. "Subject 6B has reached observation phase 3. No sign of memory fracture. Initiating room bleed." Before I could react, the ceiling vent above me burst open and a black cloud descended. It wasn't smoke. It was flies. Hundreds of them buzzing violently, clawing at my face, trying to get inside my nose, ears, mouth. I screamed and ran. As I turned a corner, the walls changed again, now dark, rusted metal, pipes hissing steam along the edges. Alarms blared in the distance. Something was wrong with the facility. I wasn't the only one escaping. I found the elevator. Its doors were open. No lights inside. I hesitated. Then a voice from behind. "Daniel, get in." It was Dalton. He was dressed differently. Combat boots, black tactical vest, gun strapped to his side. "You're real?" I asked. He grabbed my arm. "For now. This place, it chews up identity. I'm holding on, but not for long." The elevator doors closed, and we descended. "I was the first," he said. "What?" "The first tenant. I signed the original lease, back when Park Ridge was still under construction. I thought it was just a cheap place to crash while I sorted my life out." He looked at me, hollow-eyed. I didn't know it was an experiment. I sat against the wall of the elevator trying to breathe. "What kind of experiment?" He sighed. "They're testing human thresholds, fear, memory, identity. You ever notice how time doesn't work right here? That's by design. They isolate you, make you doubt yourself. And the rules are just pressure valves, little bursts of control to see who breaks." "Who are they?" He looked up at the flickering ceiling light. "The architects, not people, not anymore." I didn't know what that meant, but the elevator stopped, and the doors opened to a graveyard of broken apartments. The level below was a wasteland. Entire rooms torn apart and stitched together with different styles. One living room was upside down. Another was full of water, with fish floating in the air like they were swimming through gravity. We passed a hallway with no floor, just black space beneath. Dalton walked calmly, gun at the ready. "They're trying to build something," he said. "A kind of bridge, using minds like yours, sensitive, fractured, easy to mold. They test us, change us. When we crack, they harvest the pieces." "Harvest?" He pointed toward a room full of mirrors. Inside were trapped reflections, all screaming, silently beating against the glass. "That's where the broken ones go." Eventually, we reached a steel door with a keypad. Dalton punched in a code, 0303. The door groaned open. Inside was a control room. Monitors covered the walls, showing every apartment. 6B, 4C, the lobby, the red hallway. Even places I'd never seen. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because I see who they made me into, and I want to burn it down." He handed me a key. "Unit 1A, the original room. If you can get there, you can end it." Getting there wasn't easy. The building fought back. Stairs folded into themselves. Doors vanished behind me. At one point, I walked through the same hallway 47 times, each version bloodier than the last, but eventually, I found it. A, the original. The door was wood, real wood, not metal, no glowing keypad, just a keyhole. I slid the key in, turned, and stepped inside. The room was empty except for a chair, in the center, and a screen. On the screen was a message. "Would you like to exit the lease?" Below it, 2 buttons, yes and no. I stepped closer. The floor trembled. Behind me, the sound of footsteps, hundreds of them. The walls began to bleed. I pressed yes. The screen blinked, then turned red. Exit denied. Subject has been duplicated. My reflection in the screen smiled at me, and then darkness. I woke up on the sidewalk, outside Park Ridge. Morning sun, birds chirping. A jogger ran past me, smiled, waved. Everything looked normal. I stood up slowly. No pain, no blood, just peace. Was it over? I looked back. Park Ridge stood still, silent. No red hallway, no strange rules. The doors were wide open, new tenants moving in. I walked away. For a while, I lived my life, or tried to. But then one night, I passed by a mirror in a gas station bathroom, and my reflection didn't move. It smiled and whispered, "Rule 9. You never really leave. If you think the story ends here, think again. Some horrors don't fade when the screen goes dark. They just begin.